So that's why my sophomore and junior year was so great because I was just focused on basketball. There was nothing else going on. So I moved in sophomore year, junior year, senior year, and junior college. I all lived with Andrew Cartwright. People don't know that.
Wow.
People do not know that. I lived in a white household with a
Hmm.
white family.
So there goes your middle class experience.
Bingo. Well, upper class experience.
Upper class. Okay.
I would say upper class. His mom, not to put it out there, Drew, but his
Mhm.
mom did a lot of marketing and things like that, so she made pretty good
Good
money.
money. Got it.
And shout out to her, man. A woman that's gone through 28 back surgeries, 15 neck surgeries,
Okay.
uh, and she's put it all together every single day. That woman right there, I respect. Like
That's
I,
tough.
I
That's real
respect.
toughness.
Yeah,
You want to talk
facts.
about being tough?
Facts. People talk about how black people go through this and da 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 da. I'm like, yo, this lady she fell off of a ladder when she was younger, trying to take care of something for her kids. Broke her neck, broke her back, had surgery, hasn't been able to move her
Mm,
neck that much for 30 some odd years. She hasn't been able to do this.
mm,
When she moves, she has to move her whole body to move.
dang.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's tough.
Yeah, and still raising the kids, taking in other people's kids.
You feel me?
The real
Like,
work.
tough.
The love. It's love, man.
And
Like
that's
people, toughness is loving people through whatever you're going through,
exactly.
man.
And
And
that's the
that's
reason why I say the finding Forrester stuff is such a
that makes
touching
sense.
subject for me because Andrew was basically Forrester for me.
Forrester. I have to ask this because it's I can see it now. So do you believe that the the attitude that you were dealing with and that fiery party, that chip on your shoulder through those high school years was because of that trauma you were suffering from your parents split and
Nah.
that you don't connect them?
Nah, man. I was like that when my parents were
Okay.
together. I was like it after. I didn't really be real with you. I didn't really have no issues with my parents splitting up.
Hmm.
My parents was cool. It wasn't like a thing where it was like we're split up. It was like my dad was picking me up from school. My mom was picking me up from his house. They was still talking.
Okay.
It wasn't like the whole divorced and
So they're
he can't
co-parenting, the
speak to me no
positive
more and he
co-parenting
can't speak.
experience.
It was never court, nothing. It was like pick him up from school, take him to practice, do this, do that. My pops was still on the ball. My pops was still in my life every single day. I didn't come from the black household where my dad walked away after going to get milk and all that type of stuff. I didn't come from that.
Mm,
I came from a two-parent household. When they split, they were still a two-parent household.
got it.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it
Yeah.
was still a two-parent household. If my mom needed something, my pops was getting it done. If my dad needed something, my mom was getting it done. But he didn't ever need nothing because my mom always was on the ball. You know what I'm saying? But I just didn't, I don't equate it to that and I don't give myself that excuse. It
Right.
was
Well,
Robert.
no, that's the thing is
Yeah.
that it's like it's not even an excuse, right? It's just I think it's important, especially in the black community, or the people of color to understand those traumatic experiences, whatever it came from, right? And I just saw the correlation, but I like how you even broke it down. Like, that didn't impact me. It
Yeah.
was something else.
Yeah. Like
Identifying
it
that
was definitely me.
and working through that to where you are today, where you have an understanding, like, hey, yo, don't do what I did.
Yeah. Cause it was me.
And
It was all me. Like,
mhm,
I know there's a lot of people out there like, DeMar DeRozan. Let's just take his story. Like,
yeah,
crazy story with him.
mhm,
How he got it all together and how he kept his head together. Incredible.
right.
Like,
It's possible. And
incredible.
that's the thing. It's possible to overcome
Yeah.
and to still be successful in whatever you
Yeah.
want to do.
But I didn't
And
go through none of that.
right.
I didn't go through none of that. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I just tell people all the time, like me personally, I created all my own demons
Mm,
inside. That was the only way that I could be great.
mm,
I had to create my own demons. I had to have something that drove me.
yeah.
Like I would go into the newspaper sometimes and I would read the newspaper on the high school side and it would say so and so scored 18 points. And a lot of times on the high school side, I was at the top of the list. Valentine with 28, this person with 18. And I would be like, he scored 10 points less than me? Nah, yo, I gotta get 50 next game. This shouldn't be nobody in the 10-point radius of me. Like, I had to piss myself off for all these
Mm,
different reasons because it was how I played basketball. I played
mm,
basketball angry. If anybody ever met me, if anybody ever asked like what my secret was or anything like that, I'm the Hulk. I'm always angry. Like when I play basketball, I'm playing with anger. I'm
Mm,
playing with the actual concept of anger because I want you to understand that when I play basketball, this means everything to me.
man.
Like everything. It's not just a portion of my life or anything. It's just everything. Every relationship I've ever been in, when it comes down to personal life, all that, every relationship I've ever been in has struggled because of basketball.
Mm,
Everything I've ever done in my life has struggled because of basketball.
the first love,
Like I
real
have
love.
people literally trying to get me to do things like, hey, let's do this. Hey, let's do that. Hey, let's build a business. Hey, let's do this. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. They're like, can you meet at this time? I'm in the gym at that time. I cannot. Can you do this? No, we got a basketball tournament this weekend. Can you do that? No, so and so just called me and said they need a workout. I gotta go to the gym. They're like, bruh, how can I do da 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 da? I'm like, I told you when I met you, I do basketball. I don't do all this other stuff.
Well, thank you for being here for one, and I'm
Yeah,
glad we talk about hoops, so it helps.
yeah, you
But
know what I'm
that's
saying? It's
good.
like this is what it is, you know.
I
So
told I told my wife that the other day. She's the only thing in my life that is not bas. She doesn't like basketball. She's non-competitive. She doesn't even know. Like she tried to name 10 NBA players the other day, and she barely
oh
got it.
man,
But she's the only thing I love in my life besides God and that, like Jesus, that doesn't have to do with
yeah,
basketball. Like I said, everything else in my life has come from my relationship. Like you said, all my friends are hoopers or talk about hoop or
mm-hmm.
something. Everything I do is centered around
It's
basketball.
basketball.
And I'm like, that's just my love.
It
Like
is.
it's
It
it
is,
that's what it is.
and I think that's what's missing in today's game.
Yeah.
I think a lot of kids don't love it anymore. I think it's a hobby.
Derek Fisher said it great on our podcast. Y'all can check it out. It's live on YouTube. Is he said people are in love with the things that basketball brings
Bring,
and not
yeah.
the actual process in the game and just being in the gym. Like
Hmm.
for me, and you're the same actually, we don't post a lot of our training. For what? We here anyway. Like this is what we
So
do.
backward.
It man, how can you anyways, I'm
I
not even
get it
going
if you're I
how
get it if you're a social media guy and all that,
right.
and you're trying to build your social media fan base. But
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, listen, and I'm gonna say this to everybody watching right now, everybody that's gonna see this, everybody's gonna do this, and I'm saying this to the other trainers. Keep posting your stuff, please.
Mhm.
Because every player that comes into my gym, I'm teaching them how to destroy your player. That's it. Okay. So please keep posting all of your workouts, please. Because every time your player sees my player, he's gonna have a heart attack every single time. I did it with Trent Perry this year.
Yeah,
I did it
man.
with Trent. I was watching that kid, Caleb Foster.
Yeah.
I was getting inside information on him. People
Right.
didn't know that.
Right.
People did not know that. I know what time he worked out in the morning. I know what time he worked out after school. I knew how many reps he was getting. I was just breaking it down.
Ultimate scouting
And
report.
every single time Caleb saw Trent this year, it was a murder scene. Everybody's like, how is Trent just making how's he heading tails over this kid? It's schemes. I know what you're gonna do before you do it.
Mm,
If I know what you're gonna do before you do it, how can you beat me? You
yeah.
can't.
Unless you got some crazy counters.
I learned that from Michael Jordan at Jordan camps.
Mm,
Don't just play your game and go sit down. Play your game and then go watch the other dude that is considered the best.
mm.
Why do we do that? Go watch him. Go see what he does wrong. See what his weaknesses are. And after you see what his weaknesses are, exploit them.
Right.
Find them and then exploit them.
Yeah.
Look at the things that the other card. Like I do this to my players all the time. When this guy's guarding you, what do you hate about it? Like, man, he's always like pushing me and doing this. I'm like, do it to him. He's doing it because he don't like that to be done to him. So do it to him. And the second they start doing it, you see the kid.
That's a wrap. Yep.
So that's why I tell my kids, it's just like, this basketball's a scheming thing. It's a scheme.
It's a mental game.
It's,
That's how I
yeah, it's
made
right
my
here.
career is that I'm a streaky scorer, right? I could get hot. I'm a decent slasher, streaky shooter, but my calling card is defense. I'm going to sit
Facts.
down and we going to battle. Whether
Facts.
you get a bucket or not, you're going to work for it. And you're going to be tired by the fourth quarter and you
Facts.
really going to miss shots, right? And I tell my kids this, and I'm like, I play them one-on-one at the end of every session. Like, no, we're going to go ones because you need to understand what's about to happen and how I'm teaching you all your moves. Now beat me.
You gotta
Because of what
beat me
you
with
do, right?
those
Because of what you
moves.
do. You research, hey, I know how to sit on that. So now you have to actually use this stuff,
On
all the
me.
counters, and I know what you're gonna do.
I know the counter you're gonna throw before you throw it.
Man, and then I'm like, okay, so what am I doing on defense? Like, bro, you're a hacker, you're a fouler. Yep. But I don't
Uh-huh.
get called for fouls.
Uh-huh.
Why aren't you doing what I'm doing? What
Exactly.
else do I do?
Exactly.
Oh, you get really low and it's hard. Oh, don't you think you should do that on defense? So I'm teaching that defensive side too,
Yeah.
where all these trainers, I don't see many trainers teaching defense.
Yeah.
You know,
There's
I
only
think
one guy. There's only one trainer out there that I know that teaches defense. Shout out to Coach Tiny, who works for LA Premier Prep. He's one of my OGs. He used to be the coach of the K&E Bulldogs.
oh yeah.
Remember that team?
Yeah, I do.
Remember that little fiery coach that was on the
That
sideline
was
with the
him.
glasses?
That's Coach Tiny.
Tiny. Everybody used to call him Archibald because he had kind of looked like Tiny Archibald.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Coach Tiny, that dude right
I need
there.
to go to a session, man.
Oh man,
Connect me. I need that.
You just got connected, Keon.
There we go. Oh, well, bet. I need that. I need
Tiny
that
is a
defensive
guy.
work.
If you want to see a drill guy,
Mhm.
getting in shape, getting your defense up, getting your running up, all that, Tiny is the guy. Tiny is flat out the guy. Lauren Watkins is good.
Yeah, he is.
Lauren Watkins
Oh,
is
man.
good.
I got to get him on here too.
But Tiny is that no hold barred, no BS. He don't care about your feelings. He don't care about your parents' feelings. He don't care about your mama, your daddy. He
Man.
don't care if your granny
Pure
is sick.
basketball, baby.
Like he don't care about nothing. It's just get it done.
Get it done.
Get it done. And then you do have enough energy, no matter what. I love Tiny. Like I love Tiny. Like that dude right there. When I was coming up, man, I remember playing against the K&E Bulldogs. That was the first coach. That was the first coach that I had ever had speak to me, and I was on the other team.
Hmm.
Like I'm coming down doing something. He's like, "Why you doing that? Stop doing that and do this. What's wrong with you?" Da, da, da. And I'm like, "You're
Real
not on my
parental.
team, yo." Like, he trying to sabotage me. He's like, and then he come down and do something else. He's like, "I just told you not to do that no more. Why you keep doing that?" Then he turn around and look at my coach. "Why you keep letting him do that?" And my coach is like,
He ain't bad
"What?
basketball.
Like,
That's pure
what is
basketball.
this? Like, what is going on?" The other coach that, and then they call a timeout. And in the timeout, he's supposed to be talking to his team. I'm walking across the court. He's like, I'm not gonna stand here and watch you keep doing that. If you keep doing that, I'm gonna tell my players to go ahead and lock you up. Da, da, da. And I'm like, yo, what's going on right now? Like, but that's what I remembered about Tiny. Like,
That's
like this
crazy.
dude, I'm not playing for his team or nothing. He cares about basketball that much to where he's telling another player that he sees as good to stop doing certain things that are not supposed to be happening. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's pretty impressive. So now I take that same concept in all my AAU games. I'll go to an AAU game. I talk to the other team.
Mm.
Yeah, I'd be like, Coach, why are you telling them how to score? Why are you telling them how to stop us? Why are you telling them?
Coach, man.
Because if I tell them what y'all gonna do, y'all still gotta perform and do it, right? So that makes you better,
Yep.
but it also makes them better.
Right.
So in a whole, I'm making basketball better. I don't really care about you as an individual. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
when we walk off the court, I care about you as an individual.
I think that's, man, that it speaks to my overall concept. This is literally why I started this show, is that I feel like the good basketball minds, the me, the you, the Keon, the people who really love this game, I think is so oversaturated with the trainers who are concerned
No.
with their personal brand and all that. It's cool. We all have our personal brand. We have business because we're businessmen, right? But also, there's nothing wrong with us developing together, working together. Like, yo, I'm gonna take some of what you got with some of what I got. The truth is, the heart of this is we love being in the gym and making
Facts.
kids better.
Facts.
And so whatever that takes, people, oh, you training my kid, you training, bro. No, that's that parent's kid.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, if you train with me, you train with Rob, cool. Hey, matter of fact, go to Rob.
Yeah.
How many times are you going to Rob a week? 5? Bet.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to go more.
Every time, like,
please,
you know, Maz.
Mozzie,
You know,
yeah.
Mozzie. I was telling Mozzie the other time. He's like, "Yeah, man, I'm gonna come train with you." I'm like, "You're training over there at Core, right?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "So you're gonna come train here to get the same stuff?" I'm like, "Why? They teach what we teach. Like, it's
the same
basketball
stuff.
at the highest
That's
level. Just do your thing over there. Like, keep it going." You know, and he's like, "Oh, well, I'm gonna get a trainer." I'm like, "Well, if you're gonna get a trainer outside of that, then yes, come to me." But you don't need it. You know,
Right.
that's not the way it works. You don't need it. You know what I'm saying? But that's, those are the things that basketball now, I think this is what the world of basketball misses.
Mm.
Is when I was coming up, when I was growing up, everyone developed everyone's children.
Yes.
Like there was like
Community.
the village talk, like where it takes a village to run a household. It takes a village to, if I went down the street and I was cussing and yelling and doing something, Mama Hammond would come out, smack me across the face, and say, "You're not supposed to be talking like that."
Yep.
But then she go and call my mom, "Hey, your son is down here cussing and acting crazy." Then I go home, my mom slapped me across the face.
Right.
It's like
Yep.
you getting beat up twice, dog. So
Yep.
so really as a kid, you knew how to get away with stuff or how not to do things because you was like, I don't want to get beat up here and there. If I'm gonna get in trouble, I just want to get in trouble once. You know what I'm saying? So it's like stuff like that where we were developed a little bit different, and I think that is what like gave me the concept of like being a basketball mind and
Yeah.
understanding that. And another thing, I tell people this all the time: if you train with me, you're training with CLC basketball. You're training with Keon Kendrick and his
Yeah.
concept of basketball and what he taught me. And then I've taken that and I've morphed it into mine.
Yes.
But without that, I wouldn't have a concept of basketball because I didn't know how to teach.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to teach someone how to play like me. I was like, dude, you know how hard it is to do what I did? Like, I don't know how to teach you how to be a guy that in his mind is two shakes away from being in an insane asylum. Like, I don't know how to teach that
Mhm.
because when I play basketball, I see a guy 7 foot and I think, oh, that looks fun. And most people go, damn, that's a
I'll
huge
go
dude.
play against
And
the
I'm
Spurs.
thinking, I get to dunk on
I'm
that
about to
guy.
dunk on him.
I get
Yeah,
to catch him in isolation and pop, pop, pop. Oh, I get to bump him. He might block a shot. Like, that's fun for me.
Yes.
And most people go, bro, there's something wrong with you. And I'm like, no, there's something wrong with you.
Right.
I look at war and I run towards it. You look at war and you run away from it. There's
Mhm.
two different people.
No, and that's why the mental toughness is probably on a different level. And I can't wait to read your book, to be honest, because I know this is going to be whatever it's about, it's going to have these.
The mental toughness side of that book is going to be one that I believe everyone will want to read because I'm not an NBA player. I never stepped foot in the NBA. I never got an opportunity. I never did none of that, but I played professional basketball for 8 years and I loved every minute of it. And hands down, there's not a person that I've ever come across that doesn't respect me in this game. And that to me is that was my whole process of playing a game, starting out everything. I mean, of course, we all have dreams, right? I want to
Mhm.
be an NBA player. I want to play in the NBA. I want to do this. But playing professional basketball was enough for me,
Yeah.
and then having the respect of people all over the world, not just like, oh, here in LA, people know me, but like I get texts from China, I get
So
texts from
where
Germany.
did you play professionally?
I played in England, then I played a little bit in Estonia, and then I played the majority of my career in China.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. So I saw a lot of different countries. I took a tour once, a paid tour where I saw like 8 countries in that
Nice.
tour. And then I played cup games in between like seasons and stuff. So, team here, team there, team
Right.
there. So I saw a ton of countries, but real seasons that I played, those are the only 3 places that I actually played.
That's dope though.
Real seasons, but those are like legit teams where I was there for 6 to 8 months.
Mhm.
It was like a whole year basically of basketball where I was gone. China was different because China's seasons were 3 months at a time, but then they have this thing called wild ball in between. So the wild ball is kind of like what we would consider like our pickup ball, but you get paid for it.
Oh wow.
So, I was making, 7, 8 grand, a month playing wild ball, playing in the streets of China, messing around and
Wow.
throwing the ball around and, having the LA select team come out and I'm already out there and I'm throwing lobs to 7 footers and stuff. And we're beating up on China dudes and they're
That's
like,
dope,
yeah,
man.
can we take pictures with you after the game? We're like, yeah, I just gave 50. Yeah. I'll take a picture with you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, guys coming to you before the game. Like I've had people come to me before the game and like, hey man, let's take a picture. I'm like, you're on the other team. He's like, yeah, come on, picture, real quick.
Right.
And they take the picture, and then you're like, wait, I gotta play against you right now. Like, he just took a picture with you, man. Like every time you
Like
look at this
money.
picture now, you're gonna remember what
He gave me buckets.
yeah, like, but it's not just that, because it's the trash talk and the pushing, and it's like now every time you see it, you're gonna be like, that dude's a dick, like, you know. What I mean? So it's like it's one of those things where it's just it's a odd area to be in, like that type of stuff. But the overseas world, I tell a lot of people, uh, mental toughness is the biggest thing that you have to have there. You're gonna go to countries that no one speaks the language. Well, technically not anymore. If you're going into the overseas realm now, everybody speaks a little English.
Mhm.
But when I was doing it, and when my friends were doing it, you go to a Qatar, you go to a Belgium, you go to a Bahrain, you go to a
Mhm.
Lebanon, you're by yourself, bro.
Yeah, you on Google
You're
Translate.
no,
Yeah.
you're not even that. Google Translate don't even translate the correct way.
Oh
You go to
shoot.
you go to Lebanese and Google Translate, and you put something in English, and they try to say it. The dudes be looking at you like, "What was that? That wasn't our language. Like, what is that? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't even work half the time."
Wow.
So you're like pointing at pictures, like, "You see that part? I don't want that, but this is good. That right there? No, I don't want
Communication,
that,
you
but
like you
that
said,
is
basketball
good."
gets your communication
Like
all the way up.
it's crazy out there sometimes,
Well, so your experience overseas, we kind of discussed it earlier that you're going to do your own podcast, The
Mhm.
Crossover, and you're going to kind of dive into that part of the
Yeah.
game in the overseas. You want
Mhm.
to just talk about that a little and what to expect from the crossover?
Yeah, so nice, appreciate that. Nice shout out. I'm starting the crossover podcast. It's a personal podcast that I wanted to show the development of players, and also wanted to give some insight for the players that were trying to learn this game and trying to understand the things that they have to do to like go to college, get a scholarship, go overseas, being in the NBA. I want to be able to give people more information on what happens in these areas. A lot of people do not understand that when you go overseas, you haven't made it. You haven't made it yet. That's not the end all be all. After your first season, it's not like you have another one coming up. So a lot of people don't understand the ins and outs of being overseas, of being on an overseas team. A lot of people don't understand the temperament of overseas coaches. They're not like us, and they already have a scrutiny against us because we're American. They already think that we're this pompous, egotistical, you know ego driven person that will only do certain things. And it just doesn't work that way. And I think a lot of people need, especially basketball players that have the ability. Not everybody needs to know this information, because some of you will play basketball in high school, and in college you'll never play basketball again, and you'll start your life early. But for those of you that have the opportunity to go to college, get a scholarship, play on a college team, that's when life starts. That's when life really starts. You get per diem, you get away per diem. That's money. You know, you have classes that you got to get done with, and you don't have anybody waking you up in the morning or getting you ready for school or giving you breakfast or anything like that. You don't have that anymore. You know, your coach is going to demand certain things out of you. Your assistant coaches are going to demand certain things out of you. Your workout coaches are going to demand certain things out of you, and you don't have a choice but to do it. You don't have any back talk in college. There's no but no, you're not allowed to. Your coach says something and you just move. You don't even think twice. You just move. When you get overseas, it is the same exact way. Coaches say something, the translator looks at you and says, "Coach said this." You got to do it. And if you don't do it, you go home now.
Mm.
It's not you get in trouble. It's not you get reprimanded. You wake up and there's a ticket on your desk, or you get done with practice and you walk in and there's a ticket on your bed.
Mm.
Nice setup right there, perfect. They might even make your bed for you. They might make your bed and then set the ticket right there.
Time for you to go.
Crazy part is, when I was in Estonia, a dude that was playing on my team, gone.
Like that.
Didn't even know he left. Came back from practice, all his stuff was gone. What the heck is this?
Real life.
What just happened? What? I
Real life.
got the apartment to myself? They're like, no, there's somebody else coming. He'll be here at 6. I'm like, wait, what?
That means they already had that
He was
dude
on
on
a
the
plane at
way.
12, and this dude was on a plane at 12 coming this way. I'm like, this is crazy. but that's what I mean by like
Yeah.
they don't understand that. And being surrounded by all of these professional basketball players that I've worked with and I've helped, it's like, oh, like I have this influx of information from all these guys that they can actually push it out there and
Yes.
give it back to people. And that's why, the crossover podcast is going to be such a big thing. The book idea actually came from a guy that you know took care of my daughter when she was in her mother's womb. Dr. Clayton, shout out to Dr. Clayton, shout out to my guy Quest, his son. Um, he's the guy that when I told him that I was doing a podcast, that he told me that during the podcast, because it's being recorded, I should take notes on the podcast and then start recording myself talking about different things that I want, and then I should write a book. So he was the person that brought that up and put it into my ear because he's written books.
Mhm.
And when that happened, I was just like, you know what? Yeah. And then right after that, Dominic Johnson, who's arguably one of the best 3-point shooters the world has ever seen. Uh, he uh he wrote a book recently, and that just really fueled it for me. I was just like, oh, if Dom wrote a book,
Yep.
yeah, it's feasible. Because
Mhm.
I don't know anybody that's written a book before, so it
Mm.
was like, I
Right,
like
nobody
write a
did.
book, like
So
that's
it's crazy.
huge.
This is all I think is where this basketball stuff is going. You're an expert in the what you do with your
Mhm.
development, right? And that's what experts do. They write books. And
Yeah.
so I had the same thing. My mentor is Tony McGee. Shout out Tony. His son was in core. He's a rocket scientist, works for NASA, professor at
Mhm.
CSUN. And he just one day sent me this thing, said, you're going to write a book. This is what it's going to be called. This is what it's about. He said, the information I gotten from you for just a student athlete standpoint, he's like, is invaluable to me.
Mhm.
He said, you're a writer. You need to do podcasts. Like he literally spoke
All
what's
this into
happening right
existence.
now into existence.
Yeah.
And so that it just feels like this is where basketball for the pure basketball minds are
Minds.
going is like it's time to regurgitate this information we got because
Mhm.
we don't have the village like we used to. And
Right.
there's a lot of bad information out there. And people need to know this is why you said it's all about respect. The people who are coming onto your podcast, they respect you
Mhm.
and they're doing what you're teaching about. They're playing overseas, they're
Mhm.
coaching pros, they're training, they know the system, they know how to be there. And that's where you get the difference in, oh, this is real information
Mhm.
because people are actually doing what you're talking about. It's not,
Right.
hey, I'm popping on the camera. I used to go to this school and I love basketball and I'm gonna show you how to do a crossover. Where'd you play at?
Right.
Wait, where you
Yeah.
learn this from where?
Yeah.
And not saying that people can't learn that way, but it's different when you have the experience of it, so you can tell your personal story. And I
Mhm.
think that's what's amazing about you is that you've gone through so much in your basketball career that you're able to share it with people, talk about it with people, and give people something that, just sitting here with you, man, I've learned a lot about myself. Real
Gotcha.
talk. I learned about a lot about myself. That's why I love doing this. Is
Mm.
like, man, you made me look inside myself. It's like, oh, I'm a dog too. And I used to play in anger a little bit too. And what happened to that anger though? Like I'm questioning my
Yeah.
passion for the game almost because of yours and
Mhm.
in a good way. It's
Mhm.
like, yo, I need to wait, you miss meetings because of basketball? Like,
Facts.
oh, I love that. Like, I love that. Now we got kids,
Right.
right? We just make sure we take care of our kids and that kind
Facts.
of thing, like
Facts.
priority. But the rest of this is like, man, I love this. Like
Yeah.
this, everything
Yeah.
about this is
Yeah.
just
And
cool.
I think it's really cool that, we're given this opportunity now. I
Yeah.
think that's the coolest part, man. And I think that's the biggest respect factor. I think the biggest respect factor is someone said, I'm gonna put cameras in front of you and let you talk about
Yeah.
what you know. And I think that right there is like, "Dang, you're truly like you've made it."
Yeah.
If anybody was ever gonna tell me that my basketball career is successful, if they told me it now, I would say yes. If
Because,
he if you told
oh,
me while I was playing basketball and everything like that, I'd be
mm,
like, Mike, how's my basketball career successful? I haven't reached the pinnacle of it. But if I look back at everything that I did, all the stuff that I did, everything I did, I was always the guy and I was always the kid. And when there was a kid that wasn't as good as me, I was like, do this, try this, do this.
Mm. Yeah,
So
that that natural teacher in
I've
you.
always been a natural mentor or
Yeah,
trainer or teacher, right?
yeah.
And I never noticed it as a kid or as a young adult. I never noticed it because it was just that was basketball. When
Right.
I was growing up,
Yes.
when I walked in the gym, I remember playing against guys like, um, uh, Stan Fletch.
Oh,
I remember playing against his big brother Fletch. I remember playing against, the big Osiris Knowles. I remember playing against, the Frank Robinsons and the Chris Bookers and all of these dudes that came through Levy Terrace, Lou Darby, Angry Lou. Shout out to Angry Lou, Mr.
yeah.
Romania. Golly, that dude jumped so high. Um, and then in LA, Bobby Brown and Pooh Jeter and, all these guys that shout out to Marcus Williams, all those guys who I who I saw playing in the Drew League and then played against them in the Drew League and
Yeah.
all this different stuff. I think the biggest respect factor, the biggest flex that I have, or the biggest like, yeah, I was successful in basketball is now that people come to me for information.
Yep.
I think that's it for me. Like you can give me this, that, you can give me money, you can give me fame, you can give me cars, you can give me all that type of stuff. It wouldn't hit home as much as, you know, somebody coming to me and saying, how do I get to here?
Yeah.
And then what a lot of people don't realize is that that will also come full circle because eventually my daughter's going to play.
Man.
And when my daughter wants to play, I think that will be like the pinnacle of my basketball career.
Yeah.
Like, wow, like my my daughter is receiving information from me and getting better at the game that I love. And I
Yeah.
get to watch her play it, but play it,
Rashad
but
Phillips.
but play it like, but
Right.
play it like no, but play it like me
Mhm.
because
Real legacy.
she's gonna have that fire in her that I had, and she ain't no slouch. You know what I'm saying? And on top of that, she ain't no punk.
Mm.
So my daughter look at me and be like, no. You know what I'm saying? So if that's why I'm just like,
The apple don't fall far from the tree.
it's
I love it.
exciting. It's exciting, man. It's very exciting for me as a dad, as a basketball guy, as a mentor, as a all this different stuff. To just see basketball come full circle for me now. You know, full circle, full circle.
No,
And
it's
there's
a
an opportunity that I'm gonna talk to you off of
yeah.
here that I want to bring up to you because
Okay.
it's a on location opportunity.
Okay.
When it's all said and done, I think it will be an amazing situation,
Let's
like
talk
an
about it.
amazing situation. Yeah.
No, I was just going to bring up that Rashad Phillips, RP3 natural. He's out of Florida.
Uh-huh.
He has a daughter who's upcoming in the game. He was a little baby AI and
Gotcha.
undersized combo hybrid type of
Uh-huh.
guard in college.
Yeah.
And the NBA didn't want him because he was too small,
Mhm.
but he should have been in the NBA. This is like right before they started evolving. But he told me because I had a thing where I didn't want my daughter to hoop.
Mhm.
I was just like, no, I want her to stay away from the game. Like I've seen too many dads mess up their relationship with their kids, trying to force them to hoop or putting them in hoop and overdoing it. And he said, man, that's the worst thing you could do. He said, why would you not bless the one thing that God gave you and not instill that into your daughter? He's like, if you don't do it, nobody else will.
Mm.
And this is the gift God gave you. You
Yeah.
have to pass that on as a
Yeah.
legacy.
Yeah. Then on top of that, it's like one of these things where it's like, daughter sees you training all these people, she's working with all these kids, she's developing all these kids. If she wants to play, she probably wants you to do it.
Yeah, that's the thing. She has to come to me. I don't put in. That's the biggest thing I said. I was like,
But
cool.
but
I need her to come to me.
a lot of times what I've noticed is sometimes they don't even come to you and say it.
That just
They
happened.
just know that they want you to do it and they feel like,
Mm,
why isn't daddy doing it? Like my daughter's a little bit more outspoken on things, right? My daughter will just, and I don't know your daughter, I don't know how she is when it comes down to stuff, but my daughter's like outspoken.
yeah, my daughter's pretty
Okay.
strong minded as well.
So
Yep.
if I'm on the court
Strong willed.
training one of my pros and my daughter doesn't think that I'm watching her shoot her jump shots on the little small court when I roll the court down, and she'll be like, Daddy, Daddy, look.
Hmm.
And then she'll shoot it. Be like, see? And I'll be like, good job. And then the other pros will be like, yeah, I see you. And she gets all happy. And, so that's why I know she's going to want to play eventually, but I
Yeah.
also know she's going to want me to be the person giving her the
Right,
information.
especially because she sees you do it every day, and that's the thing is
Exactly.
I keep, I have a 2-year-old son too, and I'm like, he live in the gym. Like for
Yeah.
him, it's a whole different mindset. It's like
Uh-huh.
my son and my daughter is so crazy, but either way, they're around the game. So she like when she wakes up from her nap, she's like, "Daddy, let's watch basketball."
There
That's
you
her
go.
automatic thing. She
Look
just
at
wants to
that.
watch. It's crazy. I put her in a training session with about a month ago, and she went to the session. I was like, "Did you have fun, baby? Yeah. Do you want to do it again? No, that was
Yeah.
only for one time."
Yep.
And I was like, "Oh, dang.
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, you ain't going back there. Like,
All right.
you ain't gonna. I'm not gonna put you in a situation where you don't fall in love with the game." And I'm
Exactly.
like, "Yo, I'm keeping you away
Exactly.
from that."
Yeah,
She likes soccer right now, and so I'm
but
like,
another thing is that you put her in a training session with somebody else, right? And now she probably sees that, okay, I like that, but I probably
"It
want
ain't
to do it with you,
right."
and that
Yeah.
that's the coldest
See,
part.
bro,
That's the
man, you
coolest
got me. You
part,
got me
man.
all vulnerable on this
That's the
couch,
cool.
dog.
That's the coolest part about being a
Like, nah,
dad,
man.
man. That's
You
the
know it is.
coolest part about being a dad is like when my daughter's down here and my daughter's like working out or doing something, or when she's running around the gym taking people's basketballs and running away from them, so now they can't do their workout no more. Like stuff like that. It's like that's the funnest part of basketball to me right now. Like
Right.
everybody's like, man, you train this player, you work with this player, you're in LA, you're at the Drew League, you're this, and I'm like, you guys are all talking about the wrong thing. It's like, like, hey, if you would have saw my daughter run up the court today, run in the middle of Benny Boatwright's workout and shoot a complete air ball that got nowhere near the rim, and we all just laughed about it, now you would understand why I'm still doing
Pure,
this.
man, it's pure
Yeah, now
basketball.
you can
That's right.
understand why I'm still doing this, bro.
Yeah.
These guys that I'm training, they don't even need me. You know how many trainers are out here?
Right.
Like,
Right.
like I tell people this all the time, and I'm gonna say this straight into the camera. I could be making a ton of money every single day, but instead I like to train basketball players and help them achieve their goals and dreams. Not because I want to be the person that receives clout at the end of the day, but because basketball means more to me than most things in life. So because of that, and I hear people say, basketball saved my life. The person that saved my life is coming here on Monday.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I want to talk about
Yeah.
that as we transition and, as your playing career ended and you
hmm
transitioned into training. And I'm sure this is the story where Keon comes in. What was that like for you? How did you know it's time to hang it up? And how'd it go?
Whew! Retirement. That was a world of hurt for me. I retired early. Never should have.
Mm,
Never should have retired from basketball. But I had my child. And at the time, I was kind of starting over with money in basketball. And I got a lucrative opportunity to go play in China again.
mm,
But I find out that the mother of my child is pregnant. So I'm like, okay, how am I going to do this? So she's like, we need the money, go. I'm like, okay, cool. That was like,
Secure the
I
bag.
wanted to go, but
Right.
I needed somebody to say go.
Hmm.
um, so, fast forward to, she's at 5 months and it's, about time for everything to go down. And I'm about to come home. And I'm I have a basketball gig that I'm doing in China, in mainland China, where I'm playing. No, I was in Hong Kong. I was playing in the HKBA, the Hong Kong Basketball Association. I'm playing in that. I'm averaging good numbers. I'm doing really well. I get a phone call. Get a phone call in China, which is very weird.
Hmm.
My phone doesn't work. So someone figures out a way to get in touch with me in China. I'm
Hmm.
like, does this work? I get a phone call off of WeChat,
Hmm.
and that's the Chinese thing. I get the phone call, and I'm like, hello, and they're like, is this Rob? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, I got a call. I know this guy. He told me to call you. I'm like, okay, what's up? Like, what do you need me for? And he's like, I got 2 players that I need trained, and I heard you're a good trainer. And I'm like, trainer? I was like, dude, I'm hooping. Like, I'm a basketball player. Like, who told you this? Mind you, it's somebody from home who he knew that knew I was training players and everything like that. He didn't know I was playing in China. So
Okay.
he told him, call this guy. He has a WeChat because he played in China before. Hit him on WeChat, bring him out there to train those 2 guys. I'm thinking to myself, like, okay. It just so happened that I was in China, which made it so much easier.
Right.
He calls me. The first name he brings up is Atir Majuk, who I knew because he was with the Lakers in 2015. I saw him play with the Lakers, so I was like, okay, I remember that guy. But then he brings up a name, and I'm just like, oh, I'm like, that's a big name. He's like, yeah, well, do you want to train the guys? And I'm like, talking about? And the guy that he brings up is Russ Smith, who just came off an NCAA championship with Louisville. I'm like,
The dude who averaged 60 in China, right? Something crazy.
yeah, 63 in China. Yeah. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, you want me to train these 2 guys? It's like, yeah. Way more money than what I'm making playing.
Wow.
So now I'm like, okay, so is this what we're doing? Is this how it's going? Like, I'm getting paid triple what I'm making playing basketball for training. I'm
Man.
like, okay, well, got to take the job.
Right.
So I tell the guy that was like my agent, hey, I'm gonna be going to train, and then I'm gonna come back to Hong Kong and play the games. And I'll go train, but I won't be able to do practices no more. He's like, well, the team needs you in practice. I'm like, no, they don't. I'm like, come on, bro. I'm like, it's me. They don't need me in practice. I'm gonna come back and kill, and then I'll go do that. He's like, all right, we'll work it out. So that worked for a couple weeks, and then they cut me. They were like, we don't like this. They cut me. But it didn't matter because I was like, I'm already done with that. Like, I'm
Mm,
moving over here. And that's what prompted my retirement.
mm,
When I realized that someone saw more value in the knowledge I was giving to someone than what I was doing on the court, that's when I was like, okay, it's time for me to walk away from playing. I didn't walk away from playing right away, mind you, but I mean, that was my retirement. That was, I was 29 years old. I had just left school at 21. I had done 8 years overseas, and that was my retirement point where I was like, okay, I'm no longer going after competitive, contracted basketball programs. Now, if I'm going to play, I'll play on my own. I'll play with my boys. I'll play in the Drew. I'll play here. I'll play there, but I'm not going after that anymore. So that was my retirement. Moving into that season, Atir Majuk had the highest efficiency rating of any big in the entire world. And then, as you know, as we just said, uh, with some tiny information that I gave Russ, which is, I mean, he's probably one of the most incredible basketball players I've ever truly trained. I give him one thing and he could turn it into 8 things.
well,
I gave him a hezzy at one point, and he was bringing that hezzy out in moves that I personally wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have hezzied off of that move, but he's like pop 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 hezzy gone, and it's like these dudes in China, they're like, there's no way to stop this guy. And I mean, he just had this chip on his shoulder, man. He had this thing about him, and I think that's why I love him so much. I still talk to him every now and again. We still kick it. I talked to Atir. I'm actually gonna be going to Louisville pretty soon to train Sky and Trey.
mhm.
Sky and Trey
Yep.
are now over there. They
Yeah,
team
man.
back up.
Yep.
So
I just talked to Scott
I can't
yesterday.
I
Yeah.
can't wait to see that,
Man.
man. Um, but just seeing that and just breaking it down and understanding like what these guys do and everything like that, and it was just interesting to see him do that, and then being a part of the Guinness Book of World Records and knowing that I was the trainer that trained him during that season where he set the highest ever scoring for a season in basketball history.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge thing for me. It was a
What does
huge
that
thing.
look like? Were you at any of the games?
I was at every game.
What does that look like?
It looks like 70, 70, 70, 70, 65, 70, 70,
Like
63,
like,
63.
was he shooting every shot?
No.
Or was it
No.
just every time
No.
he touched it, it was
It
a
just
bucket
went
that one got?
in. It just went in. Like, I'm telling you, man, like
Oh,
it
man.
was it was like the culmination of like everything coming together at one point because like I was training guys how to do what he was doing.
Mhm.
Like I was trying to get guys like do this, do that, hezzy here, go here. Like I was trying to teach them how to do that. And he picked it up on the first day that we worked out.
Oh, wow.
And then the second day we worked out, it was like he picked up that. And then the third day, I picked up that. And it was just like I was with him. I was with him for 6 months, and I mean, the dude picked up everything every
Mhm.
single day. In 2 weeks, I had nothing else that I could show him.
Wow.
It was like he was a complete sponge. And then it was like, and then we start going ones after every day. We start playing one on one, and we're beating up on each other. And I think
Mhm.
that made him even better
Right.
because I'm not a slouch when it comes down to scoring. So defensively, it's not like he could just be like, whatever. Like, nah, I'm gonna win. You
Yeah.
know, I might not play no more, but dog, you got a you got a
It's a
player on your
game.
hands here.
Yes.
So it was one of those things, and I that whole thing was surreal to me, man. Watching that, there was a game in Guangzhou where he he started the game off, and I'm thinking like, it's gonna be a cool game. He's not really going. You know, he's he's slow right now. He's kind of just going through the motions, playing through everybody. And he came down and he got tripped up. Somebody cut him off, tripped him up. It like looked bad. Like even me, I was like, hey, like what? Hey, because I'm like, I'm
Right.
training these dudes. You can't be letting them, just destroy my guys like that.
Mhm.
And I'm doing like everything. When I say training them, I'm doing everything. I'm doing basketball. I'm doing stretching. I'm doing massage, and I'm doing weights. I'm doing
Everything.
I'm doing the
Awesome.
whole workup for him. And he looked over at me and was like, he looked back, called a timeout. Coach called a timeout. He didn't go to the huddle. He came over to me, and me and him have a picture where he's got this huge smile on his face, and I'm like, because I'm telling him like when you get into certain situations, you got to protect yourself, and the best way to protect yourself is to stop on a dime and lift,
Mhm.
because once you do that, if they go under you, the foul no matter what. And
Right.
if you roll something or anything like that, at least we know it's for a reason. Like you just running down the floor, somebody just cut you off, you tear your meniscus, now you're out and you didn't even do nothing. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Like I'm like, at least make it a point to let them know that they can't stop you. And that game, he ran off 73 points that game. And
Oh
it
man,
was
that was good.
probably the greatest scoring performance that I had ever seen besides the one that I had done. And it was like, yo, like this is crazy. Because my highest scoring performance was 76. So in Wilson's league, in David Wilson's league. Yeah. So and that came off of somebody saying something about my mom, and I just snapped. I was like, okay, you wanna talk about my mom? Cool,
76.
cool. Yeah. So, stuff like that. Stuff like that
That
is
was
where,
wild,
a
man.
lot of people don't really understand. Like, you know, I was never given the NBA shot. But if you wanted to say I wasn't an NBA player, I would laugh at you.
Hmm.
Like literally, I would laugh at you. I was an NBA player. I could have played in the NBA for years. I was just as athletic. I was just as fast, if not faster than most guys. I mean, my nickname isn't Flash for no reason.
Right.
And, little things like that, So I always looked at life, as a glass half full. Like I'm never there, if that makes sense. Like I'm
Mhm.
never there. That's the way I look at life. Like I know a lot of people say you got to fill your cup up with all this energy and all this stuff. I'm like, not. I always keep my cup half full. I got enough water to where if I need to, I can wet my whistle a little bit. But I want to learn every single day. I want to build every day. I want to grow every day. And that opportunity is what gave me the the gall to like start calling home and saying, "Hey, can I come help with your training when I get done?"
Yeah.
I was so afraid of that. I was so afraid. Like I didn't call you. Um, because I was afraid. Like I was like when I first came home. Well, I was in China when I started making the calls, and when I first came home, I thought about coming up to Heritage and trying to get with y'all because I knew Travis and all those guys were working there, and then I was thinking about trying to work with Dash. But I had this thing about me where it's just like, dude, I gotta ask somebody to like,
Mm.
bruh, like like I'm me. Like I don't need to ask nobody to do this. And I just, for a long time while I was there, I didn't open up my brain to it. I didn't do anything. And then right when I was about to leave, I had like 4 days or 5 days before I could leave. And then the team did something where we couldn't leave for like the next week after that. And I was just
Mm,
like, what's going on? Why is this happening?
mhm,
Why is this happening? What's going on? I call Olin Simplers and go, hey man, I'm coming home from basketball. I'm retiring. Wanted to know if I could work with you and your players. And Olin was like, "Oh man, I would love that, but I work with Wasserman, so you have to come in and just, kind of do the thing." And when I finally was coming home, Olin was like, he had just found out his wife was pregnant. He was like, I'm about to have a kid. So I wasn't about to bother him no more. I'm
right.
like, bro, you gotta enjoy that. Like, I'm not about to, you got some random dude trying to come in and take money out your pocket. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, nah. So I remembered, when I was training playing basketball overseas, I remembered the guy I was training with, which is Keon Kendrick. Uh, and I reached out to him and was like, hey, bro, like, if I didn't if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be where I'm at. Because a lot of people don't know this. In my second year overseas, I was training with Keon, and somebody did something really disrespectful to my brother. And in my family, when somebody does something like that, you retaliate. And I was on route to retaliate,
Mm,
and I was angry. I was going through it, and something just told me like, just pick up the phone and call him. And I called Key and was like, "Hey man, I'm about to go to jail. I'm just letting you know this now. Like I'm about to go to jail. Like my life is about to be done. Like I'm about to go to jail." And he said, "Rob, come to my house. Come to my house." I'm like, "What?" I said, "I'm not going to your house. I'm going to find these. Like I'm gonna go to jail." He's like, "Rob, stay on the phone and come to my damn house." And I got to his house, sat down, and we talked, and we talked, and we talked. He's like, just trust me, and I'm gonna change your life. All you gotta do is trust me, change your life. I was
mm,
like, all right. Yeah, and Keon knows my background. Keon has a background, I have a background, and our
right.
backgrounds are from different sides. And for us to come together like that is pretty impressive. But a lot of people don't know about Keon is when I was training with Keon, I was getting up at 5 a.m., getting on the bus for 2 hours to get to the gym by 7 a.m. to get there in time to work out with the pro players that I had to work out with because Keon wouldn't allow me to work out with the younger guys because I'm
Mm,
not younger. So I had to work out with the guys in the morning. I had to work out with the Pat Rimbers and the Chuck Garcias and all. What I'm saying? I had to
yeah.
work out with those guys. So when I first walk into those training sessions, I am getting destroyed.
Mm,
Like I remember he does the 5 around. One guy's got to get 5 stops. I was in that drill for like a minute and 10 seconds. I almost passed out. I was so dead. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that. Like I had never gone through training before. I had never had a trainer before. I was
mm,
only just you go to the gym, you hoop. You go
right.
to the gym, you hoop. So I had never had a trainer. So working with him, that was where everything came in. That was where it all mixed in. And yeah, when I reached out to him, I said, "Hey man, I'm coming home and I don't know what to do. Like I'm lost. Like I don't know what to do. Like what am I supposed to do?" And he was like, "What do you want to do?" I was like, "I want to train, but I don't know what to do." He was like, "Why you don't just train with me and my guy?" He said, "I'll teach you the lingo. I'll teach you the game. I'll teach you the NBA game. I'll get you started with some players." Da, 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 da." I'm like, "Are you serious?" And he's like, "Yeah, bro. I told you I changed your life." And 5 years from then,
We're here today.
I'm here doing podcasts and stuff,
Man, got
being looked
Valentine
at,
Elite
yeah, being
basketball,
being
and
looked at as one of the basketball minds of the world. So that,
that's awesome.
I owe a lot to Keon. I tell people this a lot of times. If it wasn't for him, I probably would be in a jail cell somewhere.
Mm,
And that's happened on multiple occasions. Keon knows my anger. He knows my temperament. He knows how volatile I can be in certain situations, especially when it comes down to basketball or my family. And he's had to talk me out of some things a couple times. But when it comes down to it, man, it's a lot of cats that I owe a lot to, and Keon is one of the guys that top notch. I owe a ton to
sure.
him.
One of the
And
OGs of the game. this
Yeah,
point, man.
facts,
So
facts.
I mean, only sat in 2 of Keon's sessions, and the game I soaked up.
Oh man.
It's just wild.
Oh,
Like,
oh
man, I
man.
can't wait
That
to have
that
him on here, tell his story, his experience as well, and where he's going with it. And
yeah, his
love
story
how y'all give back. Air
his
West,
his
y'all are
story is
constantly giving back.
his story is amazing. His
Beautiful
story is
story.
crazy.
So yeah, man, we're gonna wrap it up
Yeah,
here.
no doubt.
And I'm looking forward to seeing everything you're doing with your podcast. Um,
But
eh,
I gotta ask you two
I
questions
know I
though.
was going. I got you. Oh
I
no!
gotta say
I
I
ain't
gotta
going
ask
nowhere.
you two
That's my
questions.
favorite part.
I still gotta
So,
ask you two questions, man.
and so I just want you to shout out where people can find you, and so we can post that
Okay.
your handles and all that. We'll put it in the description and all
Okay.
that. So
Yeah, no
let the
doubt.
people know where they
All
can
right.
find you.
So I didn't really do all this at the beginning, but my name is Robert Valentine. You can find me at Instagram. It's at PT_Flash. That's really the only handle I have. It's good for Instagram, Twitter, TikToks, whatever you want to do. That's my handle. If you want to reach me any other way, you could probably just ask one of your friends or anybody that you know. If they have my number, it's completely okay for you to get my number and contact me directly. It's always cool for anybody to hit me up online. I am the guy that always replies. I do not leave people on red. If you want help, if you need help, tap in and I got you.
Appreciate it. And let the people know what you have going as far as basketball. You do training, you have club teams, and all that good
Oh,
stuff.
so I have training. I do professional training for NBA, WNBA, and overseas players. I have youth training for high school players and under. I work for my organization and own my organization. I'm the founder of Valentine Elite Basketball. We have an AAU team. We have teams from the ages of 5 all the way up to 15. And other than that, I don't think that there's anything else. What else would I be able to put in there? AAU.
Oh,
I
sorry.
think that's it. Yeah.
Oh, Eric.
Oh, I am also the trainer and one of the coaches for LA Premier Prep. So if you're looking for a prep school, if you're looking to go prep, if you're looking to find a prep team, if you're looking to work out with prep players and see where you stand up, you can also contact me there. Contact me and I can get you introduced or I can take you to the gym myself and see where you land.
Awesome. All right, thank you for
Yeah.
that. And now it's time for flip the script. I'm in the hot seat. Coach Rob, 2 questions you got for me.
All right. So first question, man. First question. First question. Um, what is the greatest? What is the greatest thing about being a father?
The greatest thing about being a father. Who just said? Oh, Matt Barnes just asked me this question, and so it's fresh on my mind. It's the quality time, man. Um, just seeing my daughter's growth from day to day,
Mhm.
and the things that we're trying to instill in her. And it's funny, like when we try to teach her something, she's very like shy to it. Like, I don't want to do that. Like she's almost afraid to make a mistake.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I'm in a household where I love mistakes. I want you to
Yeah.
make as many mistakes as possible under my guidance so you know how to handle them.
Bingo.
But then when she figures it out, she's so confident, so gracious, and
Mm.
that smile and her ability to comprehend and to flip jokes back onto me. My
Mhm.
daughter's 4, but she's doing stuff like the way she thinks, and I'm like, man, me and my wife are doing a good job
Yeah.
in raising her. And so those quality time moments where I get to spend just instilling something in her and
Mhm.
seeing that result. And the same with my son. My son, he recently had to have surgery, so he had to get his adenoids taken out, ear tubes, just all this stuff. He's only 2, and I had to learn like they're just polar opposites. My daughter is just super advanced, and he just takes his time.
Mhm.
But he's still very smart. He can communicate, even though he can't talk yet.
Mhm.
And there was just this moment of clarity. It never like it wasn't that I wasn't doing it, but it was a moment of like realization, like, man, I gotta love him where he's at. It don't
Facts.
matter what's happening.
Facts.
And these quality time moments,
Facts.
once again, yo, he's right here. This is where I'm gonna
That's
love
where
him.
I'm
This is
at.
how I'm gonna love him, and this is how I'm still gonna raise him to be this man that, God's calling me to raise him as. And so that quality time, man,
That's dope.
that's everything to me.
That's dope. That's dope.
So,
Okay. And then what's one thing that you would take from hooping against me?
don't let this man shoot. I mean, it's pretty simple. When I played you, I remember Shepard. Don't if you don't let him shoot it, then you won't have a problem.
Right.
So I recall Shepherd of the Hills. We were running, and this is when they ran the full court ways. When like
this is the
Drew
beginning
and
of
Paul
this
George,
is the,
like Reggie
this is the
was
beginning
playing
of the Shepherd.
the real
this
Shepherd
is the real
runs.
Shepherd. Yeah.
And it was my, I know you from the fitness, and it was my first time playing in an organized game against you. And I was like, man, I just got to sit on this man's right hand and just make it super uncomfortable for him to shoot. And so that's what I tried. I tried to not let you catch the ball and just sit on your right hand I mean, I think you still at 23, which is a slow scoring game for Rob.
It's a slow. It's a slow game. Yeah,
but it was that. It was just like, man, you can't let you get comfortable, because once you get comfortable, and I was smart, I didn't say one word to him. I was quiet the whole game because I knew he triggered. I knew he was going to trigger. That's
exactly what I was gonna say.
I didn't say anything to him. I think that's when we became cool, because we were like, at the fitness it was competitive, but at Shepherd, I think is where we actually became cool. We started having that respect for one another even more. Because I didn't even say nothing to him. I was like, yo, man, you're a good shooter. Like, dang, good shot. Like, I would do stuff like that so I wouldn't make him mad and piss him off.
That was the one thing that I was going to say about that game at Shepherd. I noticed that you did not say a word. And that's the one thing that everyone does know about me now. I've been noticing that now. There's still some young cats out there that don't know that. But one thing about me was, if you said one word to me, that would light a fire. It would light a fire right away. I would be waiting on people. Sometimes I'd be at the free throw line, and somebody would say something. I'd be like, "What'd you say?" They're like, "Bro, I wasn't even talking to you, man. I wasn't talking to you." I'm like, "Oh, okay, all right.
We good.
I'm just waiting on somebody to say something." But that's dope, though, man. That's dope. I appreciate it.
That's man. I just continue to respect what you do, man. Build these kids up, man, and you're always, when somebody's asking for some training, private training, man, I refer them to you, because I trust what you do. I trust your heart with these kids. Like you said, man, you can be making money doing a lot of other stuff, and you in the trenches. And so, nah, man, I appreciate you. I probably got to come back, because we didn't even talk. Like we just got to the first half of it. We got a quarter. Quarter one is over. We still got 3 quarters probably.
So we can definitely get that in.
Yeah, but so man, we have a 24-second shot clock. So you got 24 seconds. Let the people know anything going on. We kind of discussed it here, but something let the people know what what you got going on.
Okay. 24 seconds. All right. So one thing I got going on is that I am building my own podcast. I'm now working for a social media venue. So if anyone is ever looking for anything social media, if anyone's looking to do a podcast, anyone's looking to do music, anything like that, you can contact me, and I can definitely get you invited or get you introduced to people that can help you in that area. Other than that, man, I just want people to understand that I'm available, and that people don't have to feel like, oh, that guy's like top notch or celebrity. I'm a normal guy. My name's Rob. Everybody calls me Rob. I eat food just like you, drink drinks just like you. I still go to Jack in the Box and McDonald's every now and again. I ain't nothing special like that. I'm just a normal guy, and I want everybody to realize that you come into my gym, when you come into my situation, it's a family-based thing. The second you walk in my gym, you are my little brother, my little sister, or my bro, no matter what. And that's just what it is.
Perfect, man. Appreciate you being on the show, bro.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right, guys, we'll catch you next time. Peace.